Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. We're going to have a great show for you today. Today's guest has lived a life that most people couldn't even imagine, facing struggles after struggle, yet still rising above it all. From losing his mother as a baby, growing up in a home filled with addiction, and being passed around by family members who took advantage of him, to fighting through the system with multiple assault charges, overdosing on fentanyl, and even competing on American Ninja Warrior. His life has been anything but ordinary, but through it all, he never gave up. He worked hard, rebuilt his life, and is now a dedicated family man, a hardworking provider, and an entrepreneur with a mission to give back to those in need. Guffey Shoes. His journey is one of pain, perseverance, and redemption. And today, we're diving into the raw truth of his story. Get ready for an incredible conversation with my friend, Gary Guffey. How you doing, Gary? Nice to see you.
I'm doing all right, sir. Thank you for having me on the show. This is quite a thrill.
Well, Gary, your story is a story like mine. We went through a lot of tough times. We didn't grow up in these nice, perfect lives, I call it. So I think we're going to have a really fun time talking to you about what I'm doing here. And I like to highlight people who are non-quitters. You went through your struggles. You did like me. I've done every drug in the book. I didn't have it nice. I went back and forth to prison with the wise guys, if you know my story at all.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love, you're 34 years old. You're a young kid. I'm 63. So I know, I don't even feel it, and I connect with a lot of young people. So it makes me, I don't know, maybe I feel young for it. Even though I ache and pain like you don't,
I'm hearing more pops than I used to nowadays.
Yeah. Well, Gary, you competed on American Ninja Warrior. I watched that show.
What? So, all right.
Yes, I am sure. I don't know. I'd go into these marathons and watch them to see, could I do it? Because I was very athletic and very strong and young. And let's see, I think the key with that sport, maybe you could tell us if you're not right or wrong. I was small. I wasn't this big guy I am now. Yeah. And I was very strong. So it was easier for me to do the holds, do the length. I was benching a lot of weight. I mean, when I got out of prison, I was benching 375, deadlifting. I deadlifted almost 600, 550. Squatted 600. I mean, I had a pretty good three total. And then I was very also nimble, but not like you. I'm being honest. I don't think I could have got, how far did you get? Give us our audience that.
So, unfortunately, I didn't get it to the wall. I didn't make it to Vegas, but I made it to the rolling logs. They have these little rolling logs that you run onto. You got to keep your balance. And so now, mind you, this is back in 2016. So we really didn't have any ninja gyms back then, Also, I was probably about 80 pounds less than what I am now. I'm about 250 now, 5'11", 250.
Are you 250? You're the same as me. I'm 240, maybe 245.
About 245. Yeah, it's the heaviest I've ever been. But back then, so yeah, it was nuts, man. I did a lot of training for it. For a whole month straight, all I did was eat vegetables every day and some protein, and that's it. If I got like a craving for sugar, I would eat a banana and maybe a handful of M&Ms. That's it. But every morning I would get up, I would jog, and I would make it a mission to hit 4 miles every single day, whether I had to run it, jog it, walk it, jog it in any way. I couldn't get off the treadmill until I hit 4 miles. And then I would go home and I would rest and relax. And then later on that evening, I would go for another jog in the evening just to kind of clear my mind and, just to really for more mental health benefits, and so that helped out a lot. And I could literally see the weight every day. No kidding, every day I could see the weight coming off. And so it was inspiring, more and more. It's like, wow, this is, I'm getting ready. And I knew I had a short amount of time. Now, mind you, I was partying a lot before training this. So
how did you like, so you got on the show without did you send them a video? How do you get on a show like that?
Okay. So I applied for the show. When I applied for the show, I was actually with my oldest daughter's mom, and we were at her parents' house at the time. And I remember walking into the bedroom, and I was playing with my daughter. She was, I don't know, she was 3 years old at the time, and it was on TV. Now I had never seen American Ninja Warrior. I've seen Wipeout and the funny ones, the ones you laugh at.
Oh yeah, bouncing off the balls
Oh
into
yeah,
the water.
oh yeah. And so I'm watching this one, and I'm like, well, this one's a little different. And her parents jokingly said, "Oh yeah, you should apply for it," just sarcastically. I said, "You know what? All right, I will. I'll apply for it. Let's see what happens." So I did, and I think 5 months or more went by. I didn't hear anything. And so by this time, it was kind of like, yeah, they're not calling back, dude. I mean, what are you thinking? How could that happen to somebody like you, or like me? That's what I'm saying to myself. And so I'm not kidding you. I was in CDL school going to get my commercial driver's license, right? And I'm sitting there and we're at lunch. So everybody's around us, right? We're all in one lunch area, and it's a small area. And I get a call. Normally, I don't answer calls if I don't know the number, but it was from
We all are like that. I don't think anybody does it.
Yeah. But it said it was from California. And for some reason, I just thought California.
213 area code.
Like I was like, did I apply? Was I trying to be on like a reality show or something like that? But anyway, I answered it. He said, "Hi, is this Gary?" I said, "Yeah, this is Gary." I automatically knew it's the way he said it. He wasn't about to try to sell me nothing. He knew my name, so I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's him." "Hi, this is so-and-so. I can't remember his name. So-and-so from American Ninja Warrior." Boom! It all hit me. It's like, oh shit. No way. So I paused for a second, right? And I'm thinking, this has got to be a prank, man. I'm about to whip somebody. No, I'm like, this has got to be a prank. But it was one of my buddies pranking me. Now he went on to tell me, he goes, "Hey, so I sat down with the producers and we want you to revise your account. We want you to go back and re-record videos of you doing athletic events, push-ups."
Did you send an original video? Is that how you started it?
Yeah, I sent an original video of me saying, "Hey, I'm Gary Govey," but I had to fill out an app too. But they wanted like a short little video. But then after that, when they wanted me to revise it, then they wanted me to do all the fancy stuff. That way they could do the biography, I guess you could call it.
And they can show that you can do certain things and stuff.
Yeah. So he called me. I was like, "Whoa, no way!" And I'm sitting there. We hung up the phone, and so he gave me like a week or something like that to get it done. Well, I had it done the next day. I didn't waste any time. I'm sitting there and looking to the guy next to me. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "Have you ever seen that show, American Ninja Warrior?" And he looked at me. He goes, "Yeah, one of the fellow drivers." I said, "Hey, man, I think I just got on that show." And he said, "Bullshit." I said, "Dude, look at this number. Did you just call me and told me?" Now I give him the whole spiel, and he's like, "No way." It's like, bro.
How old were you at this time, Gary?
25. I was turning 26 in May. I got the call in February. So yeah.
Were you off drugs at this time?
Yeah.
Not totally.
Because I was a recreational guy. Like sometimes I would go and party and do something, but I was never a full-blown addict,
You're like me, Gary. You were like me.
Yeah. Like if it was around, hey, let's party. Let's have some fun. But
you could quit when you wanted. You could do things like that. Yeah.
Now I'll say I'm very blessed to have that ability. My father, unfortunately, didn't. A lot of people I know, a lot of my friends I know, a lot of friends I've had overdose and die. They didn't make it back like I did. I'm not saying, I'm not high and mighty. I'm not anything special. It's just really unfortunate. And I'm very lucky by the grace of God, by Jesus Christ Almighty. He said, "You know what? You little idiot, you're not going to die right now. Get your ass back down on that world. We're not done with you." So he sent me back.
So, how big are you? I mean, can you give already what's your size?
So I'm 250, muscular build. I got some fat on me. No,
how tall are you, Gary?
5'11".
Man,
just like my daddy.
I'm 5'9" right now, 245. But my best shape was probably 225. I mean, I was just, brick rock, just that little fat. I could never get around my stomach a little bit on the love handle or whatever. That's genetics, obviously.
That's starve yourself.
And that's what it is. Yeah. So, Gary, we're going to go into a few things. Looking at your childhood, what's one moment that truly shaped you for who you are today?
There's been several. Really, it was as a kid, I knew I always knew my mother was a great woman, and I always had, I've always wanted to meet her, just to, I was a year and a half when she passed, and I'd heard so many good stories about her, and there was just something inside of me that wanted to carry on her legacy, and I wanted to make her proud, and that always stuck with me. There's a lot of times, yeah, I'm not the perfect dude. I definitely didn't live the perfect life. I've done my wrongs. I've done a lot of good things, but I think I've seen my dad struggle, and I've seen everybody around struggle, and I've seen what they were doing and what caused them to be in that position. And I always knew that I can't ever let myself get to this point in my life. So I've always been a dreamer, and I think maybe seeing my dad struggle and seeing it with his addictions every day was always a little reminder.
You grew up, obviously your dad, you told me in a little bit of your bio, your mom you got a check because your mom passing in a year and a half.
Yes, sir.
And the family pretty much used that check for their own stuff by passing you around. That's a shame, but that's what addiction does. So I don't blame people and I don't hate people. First of all, right. I've learned something very good. Maybe I can help you with this, Gary. In my story, I don't know how much you do know. I was actually strapped down naked, beaten, and tortured in prison, peed on. Took me many, many years before I said I wouldn't kill the people who did that. And by the grace of God, I am who I am today. But it took a lot. Now, I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual. I believe in, I don't, all religions are good to me. Whatever it takes a person to do, have at it. Please, at my age, listen, I want all of them in case something happens. But I don't mean that. What I mean is hate will kill you. Yes. It took me many, many years, and my cousin, who's a smartest woman I've ever met. My cousin saved my life by, sitting me down, talking to me, being there. Larry, it's consuming you. I literally was consumed with how I was going to kill these people, and I would have did it. When you're abused, I was in the hole for a year. I 3 years in the hole at my time. Anyway, so as I look back and I look at your situation, I hope and pray that you don't have that hate. You don't seem to. Right. You seem to have let things go. Because judging the people who did that to you, they didn't want to do it to you. They were overtaken by a demon. Yeah. And not saying it's right, and not even me, myself, my cousin, you don't have to forgive them. It's not the right, but you can't let them keep abusing you by the memory.
Right.
And that's you, and I hope that's the thing. So what was the hardest part about living with a father who had a bad addiction?
So the hardest part was, I was afraid all the time. I was afraid of him. My father was a badass. My father was a boxer. Mm. But not only was he a boxer, his amateur boxing record got him chosen to go train, and I believe 1983 or 1984 Olympic trials box off in Colorado Springs, where he trained with Mike Tyson, Marlon Watkins. He trained with a lot of them. I want to say Mayweather Sr. was there. I know for a fact Tyson was there because he's told me crazy stories about when they would go jogging trails and it'd be super cold in the mountains and all that.
Well, matter of fact, I was going to run USA Boxing out of Colorado.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I not long ago even. I was. I know a lot about. I'm in that sport. I have a lot of connections, and they wanted someone to run it who knew how to market because they don't even know what they're doing there for that reason. But I'm into the boxing game. I had boxers. I know it very well, and it's obviously Tyson was a man in a he was a man really.
Yeah, he's a freak of nature, man.
My great friend been on my show. Is a boxing official referee for USA Boxing and Olympic Boxing, and he once stopped the fight after Mike Tyson threw a punch and missed the kid. Stopped the fight. Now he's the only one who could do that, and he told the parents who were up in arms, says, "Ma'am, I just saw this man do what he did to two other kids. Mm-hmm. I gotta save your kid's life because that kid would have." Put your kid in it.
Decapitation.
No, it's you're a young kid at 13 getting hit with that like that. You can really screw a kid up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he did.
CTE at an early stage for sure, man. And
So I'm
but that
assuming there were good times with your dad.
we did. There were some good times with my dad. I wish there were more. There were sprinkled in there. You know, there were some good times, but the majority of it, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. It was a lot of bad, man. It was.
Is your dad around?
He is. He actually lives in a town about 2 hours away, and to this day, like I don't hate him. You know, I'm not from my childhood, and there's been times that we got into it in my adulthood too. And
It's not a good move for him now.
right,
I
and he
know.
actually
I ain't messing with you.
he
Your dad must be my age.
he's 57, be 58.
Yeah, I'm 63, so my
Well,
son is
yeah,
35. That's
yeah,
why.
about the same. And he growing up with him, man, yeah, it was intimidating because there was no back talk, you know, at all. But he was angry. He had a lot of pent up rage and anger too. And I think maybe he dealt with CTE a lot because his boxing record was 115 fights.
He guarantee he had it.
Yeah, 15 losses.
Or has it?
Yeah, and 68 knockouts and 46 were in the first round. So
Wow. So he had a hell of
that's
an
what
amateur rate. Did he ever try to go pro?
he did. He won and he knocked his opponent out in 57 seconds in the first round, his first pro
Pro
fight.
debut?
Now, yeah, so here's why he really never fought pro again because his stepfather, he was an alcoholic and he was real abusive. But the only relationship him and my dad really had bonded together was through boxing. He stuck by him through boxing and he pushed him and made him train and he would follow him with the car and make my dad run backwards, you know, up hills in Skytook, Oklahoma. If you ever look that up, there's a lot of hills there. And so his first pro fight, my grandfather, his name was Harold Bigfoot Guffey. He was drinking and driving, and it was a rainy night, and he drove off a cliff and died on the night of my dad's first professional fight. I believe it was on the way to it.
Your grandfather?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was a well-known man too throughout Skytook. He was the first. He owned businesses. He owned Wreckers in Tulsa. He owned the first drive-through gas station in Skytook. He was friends with all the cops. They would get drunk together. We're talking this is the 70s.
Yeah.
You know, 70s, 80s. You could party on Main Street. You know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Even I remember, the cops used to come by and just like break us up, from gambling, and they didn't take you to jail. They didn't do that.
Right. Yeah. Slap on the wrist.
Your heritage, is Native American, right?
Yes, sir. I'm Native American part, and on my father's side, Caucasian, and I like to proudly say I am.
And what Native American tribe was your family from?
Chickasaw Nation.
Is that a big? Do they get a check? I mean, some people get.
We don't get checks. No, we don't get all those. They get all their like mineral rights and stuff. We don't. Now there are some nations here that do, but we're not. They do help us with our education. They do a lot of help for the children around here. They're actually the America's largest. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, I'm having a brain fart moment here.
Don't worry about that. What I
see, general contractor. That's what it is. The America's largest.
I see that obviously, you're educated. I mean, somebody put you and made you go to school, which I often tell young people, no matter what happened in your life growing up, and we all had a lot of stuff. I was abused by a priest. Things happened to all of us. But somebody loved you enough to make sure you went to school to read and write and communicate. You seem very educated. You now have a business, which I think is cool. You have Gary Shoes, which is cool. We'll talk about that a little bit. But who was it that did that? Was there somebody in your family that you remember that was the one who pushed your education?
If I didn't go to school, I'd get my ass beat by my father.
By who?
My father.
Oh, your father?
Yeah. I can't tell you how many whippings I got hiding a report card. It was mainly just because I wouldn't.
You aren't a good criminal because I never got caught doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I was never a criminal. I guess I was.
Listen. It is something, Gary. Obviously, you've done your drugs, you've done your share of shit, and I'm sure you've done your whatever illegal stuff. You never got caught, so it wasn't that bad of a thing. Like, you didn't get into armed robberies, at least that we know of, and if you did, don't tell it.
Right.
uh,
Actually, funny you said that. I straight up one time told some friends of mine they were gonna go rob a guy, and they said, "Guffy, hey, come on, we're gonna. This guy's got. This is back when Kush was like weed
yeah,
was like a big deal, just coming in worth a lot of
okay,
money. They're like, Guff, come on, this guy's got a shipment coming in. Let's go. We're gonna go rob him, dude. We want some. They're like fuck 2 Xanax deep. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there with my girlfriend, and kind of lucky I was too, because I was like, hey man, me and her's about to go back to the bedroom, yada yada. And so that just like, y'all go ahead and do that dumb shit, bro. I'm not gonna go with you and go rob this guy. For one, I've never been a thief. I never wanted to take from people if I didn't earn it. I've never done petty theft. My dad was against that, and that's something I've always been against. I've had a lot of stuff stolen from me, and I know how it feels, and that's not something I want to cast on somebody else. And plus, it's slimy. If you're a thief, good luck getting anybody to trust you for anything. Good luck getting a job if you get caught. Good luck, like when the people you love and you love back don't trust you, that hurts.
well,
And
that's robbing somebody. That's robbing people you know. I mean, I was a criminal,
yeah,
but
right,
mine was
right.
a little bit different. I mean, I was.
It's you were like the mastermind. I'm talking about like little crash dummy type things. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I don't mastermind. We all go to prison, but
Right.
obviously we're going to talk to a friend and how we met. You have a friend,
Yeah.
Arlen,
But
that was.
funny story is they wanted me to go with them. I said no, and I stayed my ass home. Right? They left, and they came back empty-handed. And I looked at them and I said, "What's up? What happened, boys? Where's the stuff at? Come on, go getters. Where's it at?" And they just like, dude, hung their heads down. Like, Guff, if you was there, we would have got it. And they give me this whole elaborate story, man, where they tried to rob him. They tried to fight the guy with the bare hands, and it was him and his girlfriend. I guess this guy was like 6'3", 300 pounds, and they got their asses kicked.
That is kind of funny. You go to rob somebody, not even whatever. That was just a bunch of kids being stupid. I think.
It was, man. They were dumb, and one of them, actually, they both end up turning out to be decent people. Believe it or not,
Good.
they
Well,
settled down.
sometimes things happen to people, Gary, that just, it's that one thing that'll change their mind or change
Right.
who they are, change the direction of their life. Could have been you. Here's one. You racked up multiple assault charges for battery. You're a big kid. Your dad was a fighter. What was going through your mind back then, and what changed you?
The assault and batteries, I'll tell you what, one of them I did deserve. The other ones were mutual combat, but for some reason they want to press charges because they lost. And it's funny because the judge, I overheard him while I was in court. I overheard the judge say he was talking to the defense, the prosecuting attorney, and he goes, it's a shame you can't even get into a fight anymore. Stand up, shake hands, and walk the other way. I heard him say it with my own ears, and I'm like, I'm getting off. Hell yeah, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. Well, year probation.
Well, but that listen, it's like where I grew up. You like you said, let's take it out. Let's take it outside
Right.
and let's do what we're gonna do. Come
Yeah.
back. Nobody's pulling a knife. Nobody's doing something crazy.
Mhm.
Because first of all, because the bigger guys, whoever they were, didn't pick on little guys. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like, oh, let's just pick on you. And I'm not talking about fun guys and goofing with kids. I'm talking about like for a serious thing. I'm not gonna pick
Right.
on a kid that was 110 pounds. I'm 2 fucking 20, and I'm
Right.
not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Although today, you never know what's gonna happen with these MMA guys. You
Yeah.
walk into one of these kids,
Next thing you know, you're all twisted up.
yeah.
It's like you just fought, buddy.
Let me say, you overdosed and died in 2019, but were revived. What do you remember from that experience, and how did it change you?
So my daughter, we'll rewind a little bit because here's what led up to it. I was at a point in my life then where I didn't care about living really, and it was an accidental overdose. I want to start out by saying that, but at the same time, in my mind, I was like, you know what, fuck it. If it happens, it happens. I don't even care. Here's why. My daughter, see, I never got to build a relationship with my son. That's a whole different story itself. But with my daughter, I did. But her and her mom ended up moving to Texas. And we were living in the projects at the time, like
Keep going.
public housing, right?
Keep going.
Okay. So I was, I didn't have a job. I was unemployed. I had these assault and batteries on my record, and I couldn't get a job to save my life or anywhere. So I felt stuck. There was nothing I could do. I was wanting to try to save up money and move to Texas to go be with my daughter, but I simply couldn't. And I think the reality really set in because at the time I was also homeless, living on my aunt's couch. So everything was just stacked against me, and I remember that night I was also having horrible sciatica pain, right?
Mm.
And or sciatica, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, back
And
pain.
I remember it was hurting so bad that when I would drink liquor, it would make it go away. So anyway, I went and bought a handle of Fireball and I just started drinking it.
Oh,
I'm aggravated. I'm mad at life. I'm pissed off. My back hurts. It's just a bad day. So I'm drinking, right? I'll call my buddy. I finished the handle by myself.
now
Call
this
my
is only 5 years ago. So this is
Mhm.
you're about what, 29?
Yeah. I was 29. And I call my buddy. He's like, hey, what's going on, man? I'll come out to your house, yada, yada, yada. Okay, cool. Well, we go and get another handle. We started drinking that. So now I'm feeling real sloshy. I'm buzzing hard. So I get back into the house. We done partied, did our thing, whatever. We're on our way to the house. I said, hey, man, let me get one of those Roxys from you. And they were 30s. And he goes, Guff, and this is a real one of my best friends at the time. He goes, Guff, I don't know, man. There's something different about these Roxys. I said, bro, you know how many times I've done Roxys with you, especially. I was like, just give me the damn Roxy. Yeah, I'll buy it from you. Here's 20. And he's like, all right, man, I'm gonna do this because I was drunk and they would sober me up a little, right? So the way I like to do them is I like to snort them. That's how I like to do
I've done that. I've done all of
that. So anyway, he's like, Guff, I want to tell you something. This thing right here, I just broke off a little quarter piece and it lit my ass up, man. He goes, so don't do any more than a quarter. And I looked at him. I said, all right, man, I won't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zoom the whole bar. The whole
Trying to tell me how to do my drugs. So anyway, I get back to the house. I'm staying out with my aunt. I'm sitting there chopping it up with my cousin at the table, right? And so I go and get the Roxy and I break it in half. I set one half over here, one half in front of me. I chop it up. Sitting there talking to him, roll up the dollar, take it. I'm sitting there talking to him. Now here's where it gets fuzzy. I remember kind of talking to him, and I remember breaking the other one up shortly right after that first one. And I guess I had it all broken up. My cousin went to the bedroom just for like a minute to grab something. And he said when he came back out, I was slouched over in my chair and I was slowly falling to the floor. The pill I swiped it off the table by accident, and I'm laying there. And my cousin, he's my little cousin, and he's like, what? He didn't know what to do. He said he thought maybe I was drunk and passed out, but he didn't want to wake me up because he thought I would get angry and drunk and try to fight him. Well, what he didn't know is I was overdosing right there in front of him, and it's just me and him there. And I guess I went and collapsed on the floor all the way, and he didn't know what to do. Well, luckily, I was told about 15 minutes later, like I don't know how I could have laid there for 15 minutes overdosing and not died completely. But this is what I was told by my aunt. She walked in the door and seen me there, and my eyes were bloodshot. And she said, I was just gone. I was completely gone. She walked in as the gurgling was stopping. And so she was smacking me in the face, trying to wake me up. Gary. And she started smacking me hard, right? Nothing, no response. She called the ambulance, and they had got there, and they tried to revive me, and then they shot me with Narcan.
Sure.
Now, I remember coming back after that. So I didn't die 100%, right? But I was getting close.
No, Narcan brings you back. Like, it stops all the drugs from your receptors.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I watched what happened.
It was crazy when I woke up because I remember waking up and then I faded back a little bit. And the next thing I know, I'm in the ambulance, right? And I'm not talking at all, but they're talking to me. And I remember I'm asking, did you do this on purpose? And I was able to shake my head. No. The feeling was really weird. I don't know if everybody's experience is different, but I remember whenever I came back to, I wasn't sore. I wasn't dizzy. I wasn't anything. My motor skills, I could see, but I couldn't really say words. I felt like I could, but when I tried to, they were kind of mumbly, and the guy told me, I can't really understand what you're saying. It didn't take long before I got my speech back, but I remember just feeling like everything was okay. I wasn't panicking. There was nothing. It was kind of, oddly enough to say, like a warmish feeling. Like I just came back to it. I'm looking around and I'm calm, cool. And I'm kind of understanding now what happened. And so I go to the hospital, and then I don't remember. Next thing I know, I woke up, and now I'm alert. My dad's there standing over me, and he looked at me, got in my face. He goes, "You see how easy it happens?" I said, "Yeah."
You know, it's funny because I never overdosed on anything, obviously, and thank God would. And I've done every drug in the book, from heroin to you name it. But Narcan, and I have it, and I keep it places for people, because I've seen Narcan, a person overdose on Narcan, hit Narcan, you get up like nothing happened. All right, let's go. It blocks receptors. I did a lot of stuff in understanding about Narcan. It's unbelievable drug. I mean, it literally blocks everything, right? And then it's, wow, okay, I'm ready to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like you don't even know you were bad. You were out. You were almost dead. You were blue, and they hit you in Narcan.
And then you just back to life.
Crazy thing.
Party goes on. No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely. Really, sad as that is, I'm not. You know,
I was at a party one time, and this guy. So we were up. It was at the Hard Rock Casino in Catoosa, Oklahoma, and we were at the top in the suite, and it was an after party, and I went up there, right, and I was sat at the table with a guy who I'd seen at other parties before, and he had a bunch of pills out. I said, "Oh, man, what you got there?" He goes, "Roxy's." I said, "Oh yeah, other than them fentanyl Roxy's." I swear, he stopped in his tracks, looked at me, and goes, "How'd you know?" I didn't expect that reaction, because I was kind of being a smart ass, because
I didn't know they, put fentanyl in Roxy. I really didn't. I didn't know they did that, obviously.
Oh, they could put them in anything, yeah.
Yeah, I have an injury, and I was literally given 180 milligrams of oxys every day for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years I did. I mean, I didn't get high on them, though, Gary, because I literally had the pain where it went to the receptors and it went all that. And so that's the one drug that literally saved my life, but it's so dangerous if you don't have an illness like I had,
right.
Serious pains. And I had 15 vertebrae in my back fixed and, really messed up. So, I mean, I look like a fucking man. I light up any metal detector you ever saw. But you're lucky. Was that your lowest point? And what got you out of it? Like, if that's the low, was that the lowest, or was there after that a little?
Man, I've had a bunch of low points. I got a DUI and lost my CDL not even a year after I had it, and I had just got on my feet. I had 2 vehicles. I had my own house just for my daughter. It was mine and her house. It was right next to a park. We opened the back gate. Right there was the park. It was a good deal. I lost it because I was driving for Anheuser-Busch, and they give us free beer every other Friday, and it was a Saturday. It wasn't on the clock, and I'm cleaning the house. Beautiful, sunny Saturday. Who's not going to drink some beers, I'm having a few beers, and I'm not even drunk. It's the crazy thing, but I decide I'm going to run up the road, right, to the store. So I'm going to the store, get some cleaning supplies, and I get pulled over. The cop smells the beer on my breath. I refuse a breathalyzer, probably a big mistake. I didn't know it at the time, but since I did, my license got suspended. Lost my CDL.
Actually, the right thing to do is refuse a breathalyzer.
Yeah, and see, they're telling me, "Oh, you should have taken it. Oh, you should have taken it." Even lawyers, "Oh, you should have taken it because we could fight the case and say that it was faulty and all that." I've heard it all, man.
Listen, in DUIs, the first thing, or anytime you get stopped, you're supposed to refuse it. You're supposed to refuse a breathalyzer. You're supposed to refuse any roadside sobriety test. Refuse them, because if they want you, they're just gonna get you. There's nothing you can do about it. There's zero. I've seen guys blow 000, and the cop arrests them because it's driving under the influence of maybe a narcotic now.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Weed, because you can't blow for weed.
So you can't fight. Don't ever do that. Obviously, I don't know how the law is. Oklahoma, I know it here in all those states, and it's a shame. And sadly, that's a target. I mean, you're 20. How old you were, 30 years old?
20. I was 27 at the time because 26. So I got the job working for Budweiser. Remember, I've got all these assault and batteries on my record. So I actually had to get a referral from my boss at my previous job because I was a cart boy. And I had worked hard there. I only made like
In a
$8
golf
an hour.
course?
Private golf course, yeah.
I'm a big golfer, so I'm a member of Fort Lauderdale. I used to be a member of Fort Lauderdale Country Club.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they're beautiful out there, man. It was a lot that was probably the funnest job I ever had. I'm not even gonna lie to you. After every big tournament, they would leave their beers in the golf carts, and we had about 100 golf carts, 3 beers each. Me and all the cart boys. Oh shit, boy.
Are you kidding me? I used to take care of our guys so much. They love when I come in, you know. They put the clubs on the card. Hey, Mr. Lord, bang, they make money. And then I give drugs. I give them everything, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was they sometimes when the oil business was good, you know, because it's Oklahoma and a lot of them were in the oil business. They would just be handing out hundreds. But when it wasn't doing good, oh, you knew it. You weren't getting shit. They wouldn't even look at you. They just walk straight to the bar.
I did notice, but Oklahoma is the #1 Native American state in the country too.
I did not know that.
I did not know it, so I started looking it up. That there's more Indian nations than American Indians or
Native American. Native gear on. Got the native.
Yeah, I saw that. I see it. Yeah.
My fiance, she's actually Choctaw, and she's half Italian and half Choctaw.
Oh boy. Well, I hope she's not Sicilian, because then she got a temper.
If pushed right, it depends on who it is, but yeah, she does. She'll tell you what's up.
And in between all of this stuff, you go on American Ninja Turtle, American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, so that was a year before my birthday weekend. Was the same weekend I was on American Ninja Warrior and I got offered the job at Budweiser. My life completely changed in that weekend. Wow. So that's why the fall was so bad whenever I got fired and lost my CDL. Somebody like me, well, statistically, I mean, a lot of people that came from where I come from don't really make it to that age to be able to prove themselves. They've done messed up so bad. They've been incarcerated. They might be dead. You know.
Oh yeah.
So for me to I felt good. I felt like I'm doing great, man. It was awesome. That fall was a big one. That one.
You know what? You keep getting up, Gary, and that's by the grace of God you're doing that, and I'm glad you are. Obviously, you're showing, and I like to show other young people, no matter what you've gone through. Like my case, I often tell people, Gary, I got out of prison at 46 years old. I was owed more money. The government took $6 million from me, so I was penniless and owed money. My record is really bad: armed robberies, organized crime, mafia stuff. Now I get out at 46 years old. What are you gonna do?
It's a whole new world for you.
And yeah, I mean, I was incarcerated through the internet age. There was no internet and stuff. Just before I went to prison, I went in '96. In 2007, you know, my son was 7 years, just turned 7. He's your age, and I got out and he was 18. Now, through all of that, I said, what am I going to do? And that's why I love to hear stories like yours, because I show people at 46 with a bad record, I can still make it. So you know, there's no excuses. No matter what happens to you, no matter how hard you fall,
right?
You got to get up. There's no giving up in this life.
That's right. You can't blame anybody else for your actions.
You can't.
It's up to you. And I learned that at an early age. I was off on my own by the time I was 16, basically. My father went to prison again when I was 16. And after that, I went to go live with my sister, and she already had 2 kids of her own. Her husband was in the military in Iraq, and we're in a little bitty 2-bedroom apartment. And I'm going to school now in a whole different school, got to finish up there. And then I end up moving from there a few months later back to with my aunt and finishing school. I don't even know how I graduated, but I did, because in my mind, it was like, if anything, I have to graduate high school. I knew that I was smart enough. School was never difficult. I just hated it. I just did not like to sit there and listen to shit. I didn't like to hear this guy tell me, I got to read this shit and then tell you about what I just wrote. Fuck that. I'm just or I have a bad procrastination issue.
Gary, you are reminding me so much of a young me. because I was smart. I could pass school like Zippo. They kicked me out. I ended up going into the military at 17, like, getting away, doing all that. We didn't grow up I grew up in the Bronx and Brooklyn where it was rough, you know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
we're talking about tenement buildings, gangs. We did our things. And
Oh yeah.
but school was the easy part, and I ended up getting a law degree now I have. So anybody can,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
can do that. You can go, forward, and I'm not a lawyer lover. I pay them now, and I don't.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're a necessary evil. But I'm gonna give you become what's really impressed me, Gary. You're a good family man.
Yes, sir.
You say that now, and you are. So how has your past influenced the way you're helping your children and raising your children today?
I see that my past is a broken past, and I don't want to give my children that. I don't. With my first two children, it's already a little rough, but just recently, I was really able to start developing a relationship with my son, and that means the world to me.
Good for you.
Um, and because I always said, I, I I I won't get into it too much, but I always said whenever I wanted to be there, but his mama ended up marrying somebody else, and they were living their own life and all that. And so I told her, I was like, you know what, I can't. I tried to reach out, and I would just get ghosted every time. I would go to meet up, and then there would be no phone call. It happened all over and over. It's like I can't keep doing this and living my life and just getting my hopes up that I'm going to actually get to see my son this time. And then all of a sudden, no answer again.
Well, like you said, like things I understand is okay, let it happen. And when he's old enough to understand, we can go
Yes.
out as two men or
Yes.
older and talk, and then maybe he'll understand, hey, listen, I
Yes.
tried. It takes two to
Yeah.
tango. I wasn't a great guy either, but I did try.
Right.
And now when I was
Right.
away in prison, that happened to me and my son.
Right.
And my ex didn't want to bring him, be around that environment. And, as much as I didn't like that, I had to live with it. And then when I got out, I did have that relationship. I didn't do
Right.
that
And it
relationship.
would make me so angry at times. Like I was like, oh man, I'm gonna find out where you're at, blah blah blah, and like blah. But in the end, it's like, what can you really do? That you're not bigger than the system that's gonna get your ass if you do some stupid shit. You know what I mean? Because they will get you. And it's like,
You went through your adversity. I consider it, and you keep fighting through it.
Right.
And now I want to talk about being an entrepreneur. You have that. Obviously, everything you've done, you went right to the wall. Whether it's all the way going to get a CDL is a big deal. I mean, I always wanted to be a truck driver. Actually, I don't know what it is. There's something about it. I always wanted to have a CDL, be going down that road, long road truckers and stuff. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just wanted.
Time
to do
goes
that.
by fast. It really did.
So you're starting a shoe and apparel company.
Yes, sir. This is my legacy.
Help people who struggle like you.
Yes, sir.
What's your vision for that?
I want to take it across the country. It's a luxury brand. I've always wanted to have my own shoe. From when I was a kid.
What was that about? Like, why a shoe?
I don't know. I've been artistic. I used to love to draw. I've had a big imagination, but I've always I never wanted to work for somebody as a kid. I always was like, man, I don't ever want to do that. I'm either going to be boxing because my dad was a boxer. So I trained and I fought and I boxed. And my first boxing fight, I was 155 pounds, if you can imagine that. But I've always wanted more. Yeah, I always wanted more. And then just recently I was able to actually, it was a promo, and I went and filled out this thing to be a designer, right? It's like a shoe designer. I was like, all right, cool. Like sneakers, like Nike and cool stuff like that. But it wasn't through Nike, right? It was through this company from Italy where they hand make your shoes out of a real Italian leather and Italian suede. They keep the material in vaults, right? And so I applied for it, told them what it is I was going to do. I was really trying to be a YouTuber at the time and really get that up and going. And that's why on Unrated Entertainment, that's when I got the video with Harlan and some other things on there. So they accepted it. I was like, all right, cool. So once I started figuring out, oh shit, I can actually put my own touch to it. And then they handle the logistics. They handle everything. All I got to do is design it. And then I'll get a portion of the sales from the shoe. Not only that, if after a certain amount of shoes, once they see that I'm actually putting in the work and I'm actually out there hustling, then they will set up a PR campaign for me. 10 shoe sales, and they'll put it in Vogue, Vanity Fair, GQ, all these other magazines, and really blow up out there so other influencers will see that. They'll know that they can trust me, because that's the biggest problem right now, Larry, that I'm having is a lot of people, they don't know me, and so they're not going to trust me. They're not going to be like, oh, yeah, we'll sponsor a shoe, because what I want to do is have somebody sponsor a shoe. What I mentioned to you is, okay, we can sit down and we can design a shoe together, or I can design you a shoe, or you can simply pick from the catalog, and whichever shoe that you want, you buy the prototype, right? And I can have the prototype either sent to you or it can be sent to me. But every pair from here on out and forever of that shoe sold, I'm going to donate a portion to the Toby Keith Foundation at 10%, and then 10%.
I love Toby Keith.
Yeah, yeah. I
love country music. I love, I mean, I like learn that in prison, but
he's from Oklahoma
out,
City. I mean, he's real big.
Huh? Is he from Oklahoma?
He's from Moore.
Right, where near
Oklahoma. You? Yeah.
What a shame he died so young.
Sad. Yeah. And his charity, I talked to him on the phone, or the foundation, and they said they've been really struggling since his passing, and that hit me right here. I was like, man, all right, I'm gonna help you all out as much as I can. I promise.
Man, he was a true American, man. American kid. When the war with Iraq. I mean, I remember him going back, into the late 90s, and I remember all of that. Obviously, and I remember way back to the war days in the early 90s, and when he bought American, he was very American strong, and,
he was. Yeah, he's loved so much here, man. And his foundation is for children with cancer, and trying to make their families and their lives as comfortable as possible, because what I would mention to you in the earlier, or not in this segment here, but when we were on the phone about my daughter, she almost died on Christmas Eve. And that moment right there, and this was just a couple months ago, that moment right there, whenever I seen my little daughter on the ground and I seen her hands turning blue, and I seen her little mouth right here start to turn blue, and after that,
you must have been your heart. I mean, I can't even. Oh, it's tough.
It's something like that, Larry. It'll take the strongest man and reduce him to absolutely nothing.
I understand and totally agree. And I love your cause. I really do.
But yeah, it was
you went through that to me, what you went through. And not good. Is she okay?
Yeah.
On cue. You couldn't have planned that. Literally. I'm telling you, Gary, on cue.
Yeah, on cue.
You're right, and we hear her. That makes me smile. It really, really, really made me smile.
Yeah, she's awesome, man. She's doing great. It was I prayed over her, man.
That happened.
So we were driving down the road, and every now and then I'll turn around and look back at her, just because it's some sort of, at the time it was some sort of like a fear of mine, Well, the nightmare became a reality, right? I was driving up, and we were on our way to a Christmas party with a family, and we pulled up to a stoplight, and I looked back, and her two sisters were in the back with her, but they weren't realizing anything. And I looked back, and I seen Gabby. She was slouched over, but her eyes were open, and it looked like she was looking out the window, right? But I just could tell she wasn't focused on anything. She was just staring. I said, Gabby? And I tapped her cheek. Gabby? Nothing. So immediately I parked the car at the light, got out, ran around, said, Gabby, nothing. She just nothing. Oh. Gabby, I pulled her out of her car seat. I'm like, Gabby, stay with me, baby. Stay with me, baby. Please stay with me. And so I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. But on the inside, but I know her mom is there and her sisters are there, and I'm trying to not panic. I'm trying to keep it all inside because they're freaking out already. And I'm like, God.
Did anybody call 911 already?
passengers started getting out of their cars, and like several of them, and it's like, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what's wrong. And they said, she said, do you know CPR? And I'm like, yeah, I do, because I took an EMT classes a few years back, but I couldn't remember, that wasn't in my mind at the time. And she's like, here. So I took her and I laid her on.
Called 911 already.
Yes, yeah. Oh, her mama was already on the phone, already called them, and they were coming. So I laid Gabby down, and she's got her favorite little blankie that she runs around here with. She will not let go of. I laid her on her little blankie, and I'm sitting there watching her. Her mouth is starting to turn blue. Her palms are starting to turn blue, and this lady's giving her CPR. And I'm sitting there watching my lifeless child get CPR on the side of the road. And I just remember closing my eyes, and I remember praying to Jesus. I'm saying, Lord, please take me. Don't take her. Please kill me right now. Just take me. If you're going to take anybody, please take me. And, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to keep it together. And then Gabby, I heard a gasp. She wasn't choking on anything. She wasn't even eating anything. So we don't know to this day what it was, what was going on, right? And so, I'm pretty good at holding emotion back just from, growing up, and always, crying for pussies type lifestyle.
We've seen so
my father,
much.
But this is my kid, you know what I mean? So, like, this is, it's ripping me apart. I heard her gasp, and then that's when I knew, oh my God, she's got life in her. I knew.
Now there's a lady giving her CPR.
Yes, a stranger, complete stranger, don't even know her. Another lady gets out who's a nurse, and she's like, "What's going on?" So we explained to her. So, like, by the grace of God, the right people at the right time were there, and so she's like, "Oh, her heart's beating. Her heart's beating. She's good." I'm like, "Yes, man, that sigh of relief. Thank you, Lord. Thank you." And she was still kind of incoherent a little bit, and it wasn't until we got her in the back of the ambulance when she started to be aware of her surroundings, and then she started to whine, and she's like, she don't have much strength, right? So she's kind of barely lifting her hand, and she's whimpering, and she's trying to take the stuff off of her that the doctors have put on her, right? And she's whining. She doesn't know people. She doesn't really like strangers. So I sit there and watched her slowly start to come back to herself. We took her to the doctor. We spent our Christmas Eve at the doctor, and we had tests. We had MRIs ran on her.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had MRIs ran on her. We had heart scans and stuff. We had it all done. And so now we got a neurology appointment set up coming up, and a cardiovascular appointment coming up set up. But they were telling us that, that it's normal. This is what the doctor said. I was like, it's normal for this to happen one time, but after that, it's not normal. But it's kind of like a freebie that, I'm like, dude.
Freebie?
Yeah, what?
That's not an answer, buddy.
Yeah, it's not your kid, dude. Like, no, wow. It is not. You my kid turned blue. I sit there in the back of the ambulance and watch the color come back into her palms.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I am, when it comes to kids, I could give a shit about adults. I've done things, I've messed people up, I've done bad things to people in prison. Child molesters were getting hammered. Things we did. I'm not proud of a lot of the things I've done in my life, but when it comes to kids, I protect kids. I always did. They're the innocent ones in this world.
That's right.
They don't know who, and it gets me so upset when no kid chooses to where they grow up.
That's right.
And if you don't think a kid who comes from a wealthy family compared to a kid who comes from the hood, if there's difference, there's a big difference. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I just have that heart. Don't blame kids, no matter how fucked up the parent is. My friend, my partner in the cigar business. Now, I own a cigar business as well.
I see you on there with them.
Yeah,
I like me a cigar every now and then too.
Crooked Diamond cigar, man. I'm gonna send you
Diamond cigar.
If you like a good cigar, I'm gonna send you a starter pack and stuff, and a lighter and all that.
Yes, sir. I love them.
My partner Sam is got a heart of gold. He lost his son at 18 in a car accident. Sam been through some stuff. What a strong guy. And he has a foundation. He started a foundation here in Brevard County where I live. It's called the Knapsack Program, where they give kids food for the weekends.
Okay.
Kids, from school, the kids who normally get these, what do they do on the weekend? A lot of the meals these kids get today in schools are the only meals they get, because they come from broken homes.
Right.
Some are homeless, some are, in worst of the worst. And when they get to school, they eat, So what happens on a weekend? They
Right.
devised a program in my buddy's kitchen, and I think it's 10, 12 years ago. They give these kids knapsacks full of food for the weekend.
Okay.
They don't give it to them like as if they're poor. They give them a new knapsack every time. Nobody knows, so they go home with the food on their back, so they're not ridiculed for
Okay.
being poor because of whatever it is. And so they'll get called that, they get lists from schools. They started with 35 kids. They're at 4,000 kids every weekend. It became a very big foundation.
That's
They have a
awesome.
building and they have volunteers, they have trucks and they deliver. And I don't know how many schools, but it's 4,000 kids in my little county here that go home with a knapsack full of lunch, of food to sustain a kid, and whole thing, new one every weekend. And they don't have to give them back. They're donated. Everything's done. These kids, so they don't, how young little, and I'm talking little kids.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
talking about kids can be very cruel to each other, not knowing it,
Right.
and so to avoid that, they've done, and his foundation is so powerful. And I love giving to that. And what you need in your story with your child. I love your foundation with the cancer and anything to help people. Listen, my buddy is one of the leading cancer doctors in this country. He's one of my best. He is my best friend. I don't know how he does it. He takes care. He is mega surgeon,
Mhm.
and I hear the cases, and I ask him all the time. I say, John, how do you do it, man? The people are dying. This.
That's tough.
And I said,
Oh,
he gave me a great answer though, Gary. He said, Larry, he goes, if I can make their lives a little bit better for a little bit longer, without pain or without this, I'm doing them, and I got it. But it's still tough to see somebody,
Yeah.
it's not a thing.
Yeah, and that's that's my same thing, and it's funny that that's how he said it, because right now what I do for a living is I work at a 55 and up elderly facility, but all of our people are 80, 90, and one of them is 102 years old, and I love them. I love those people, and in my heart, it's like that's word for word what you said is the reason I do what I do. They're so thankful. And gratuity is one thing that really gets me in the heart. Like if you're thankful for something I do for you, that means a lot. That's all I ask. I don't ask anything, but just to be thankful, and people should, and they are. And they say, Gary, we wouldn't be here without you. And I know that, they don't have much longer to live. And so I want to fix their heaters when they break. I want to fix their sinks when they break. I want to help them out because I want their life, like you said, spot on, to be as good as it could possibly be while they're here.
Gary,
children,
your heart is just so, I take care of my mom, I don't know if you know that she's 90, she'll be 92 in a week or two. And I take care of her. I moved out of my condo in South Florida. I did everything just to move back with my mother, built the studio here, did the whole works. And I did it because I'm taking care of my mom right here, and I won't leave her. People say, wow, you left that condo, you left this, you do well, you do. I don't give a shit about much, Gary.
Right.
My mother, I will never leave her. I mean, I told her that, and my word is my bond. My word is the only thing I got, and I've learned that from a man who had millions of dollars to a man that went to prison with nothing. It does not matter.
That's right.
That makes sense to you. Now, a little bit to store to close. For people going through what you went through, what's your biggest piece of advice for them to keep pushing forward?
Own up to every decision that you've made, and be careful with every decision that you're going to make. Own up, because once you accept the fact that you're responsible for your destiny is easier to control. If you try to blame others for what you've done or what's happening, then you have no control. You're giving a bunch of strangers, people you barely know, control over what happens to you. Don't do that. Control your destiny. You take control of it. You man up and stop being self-centered for one. Stop caring about what you're going to do so much as to a toxic level, but only enough to where it pushes you to actually achieve the goals that you set. And when you set a goal, plan it out to achieve it. Because when you set a goal, that's when the devil starts working on you, because he doesn't want you to achieve it. He says, okay, you got plans? Guess what? I got plans. Oh, you got new plans? Guess what? I've got new plans. You know, I'm going to slide this old sexy girl over here who's trouble, but you don't quite know it yet, but you love the ladies, don't you? Yeah, you do. And you know what? I'm going to do it at a perfect time too, when you're at partying, you know, whenever you're just kind of loose, you're having fun, you're not really thinking about it, you know, and then one thing leads to another. Now, there's a lot of things that can happen. Or, you know, hey, here's this drug here. Oh, you've been drinking, you're feeling kind of drunk, you want to sober up. I got the recipe for that, you know. Here's some meth, you know, do some more. Here's that Roxy, you know.
Here's Xanax to bring you down.
Exactly. Oh, you've been up a couple days and need some sleep. Here you go. Take this Xanny. That'll put your eye out. You know, it's, you have to take each step with precision. Be cautious, because at every angle he attacks like a thief in the night, and it never stops. But the stronger you come, and for me personally, the more my faith has been stronger, and the Lord Jesus, his spirit of loving and giving nature, has really taken over that old spirit that I used to have, that bitter spirit that I used to have, that anger, that hatred. I used to rage out. I would get so angry to the point to where blood vessels would pop in my face. My eyeballs would start filling up. Like, it was bad. And, you know, and I'm not perfect by any means. Still to this day, I still have.
We are not.
You know, I still get pretty angry. But, you know, self-control is the thing that it may take 10, 15, 20 years to get the grasp on it, you know. But the thing is live for something besides yourself. Live for something besides your wants. Live for something besides your desires, because your wants and desires are usually towards negativity, are usually towards the evil, and are usually going to impact others, because the bad things you do impact others and the people are around you. I don't want to say stronger than the good things that you do, but let's be real. You know, most of the time, yeah. But if you steal from somebody, they're going to remember that more than if you lend them $5 or $10. You know.
Well, you know, I also look at it like this. You know, people ask me, like, what did you do? You know, with what you went through, highs, lows. I was a millionaire 3 times. You know, not legally, but
Right.
you know, doing what I do and stuff. And it's about never quitting.
Right.
You know, I often
Persistence.
tell people, you can be in the worst of the worst, in the down, Don't quit. Don't let something beat you. You know, you could be wrong. You could accept responsibility. You could apologize for your wrongs. People apt to forgive. And I often tell people, keep doing it, but don't keep doing the same mistake over, because then it's not a mistake anymore. Then it's something different.
Yeah.
You know, but keep pushing forward, man. There's nothing. I mean, I have your information on the scroll under the screen, so people, if they're listening on Spotify or other platforms, we're on so many platforms, that they can get him at Instagram. It's at Guffey Shoes. It's Guffey Shoes.
Yes, sir.
That's at Guffey Guffey Shoes, all one word, on Instagram. And you'll be able to contact Gary or learn a little bit more about him and what he is doing. Gary,
heavily on there.
I really want to thank you, number one, for telling your story. I think stories of like yours or mine or Harlan, I'm going to talk to next week.
Oh, you're going to love Harlan.
Listen,
man.
I love Gary. I love people. I love you. I mean, I love people, man.
Love you too.
I am a person.
That's what we say.
You had me. I don't, you know, wow, I don't want to talk. I'm getting older, man. I was a fucking rough gangster guy. And now I got a heart like your kid. Man, that was out of Central Casting.
Gabby, Adriana, bring Gabby
here. Can you bring her here?
Yeah, let me go get her. Hold on.
Oh man, guys, everybody out there, this Gary had me. Listen, kids are kids, and everybody who listens to my show knows that I try to bring a positive message every time I talk to people. I try to stay connected to the communities. And
it's Uncle Larry. Say hi.
And look at this little one. What's her name?
Gabriella. She don't look like me, does she?
Gabriella. Is it Gabby or Gabriella?
Gabriella, but we call her Gabs.
I'm sure you're gonna be Gab. Gabriella.
She's like, what is all this? Gabby, look, he's talking to you.
Oh, hi, honey. Hi. Gary.
Oh, she wants down. Hey,
I
Adriana,
can't
you gonna
even
get her?
imagine Gary. Oh, geez, that's so cute. I do love kids. Everybody out there knows I love kids. So Gary, it boggles my mind to see you looking back and seeing your little girl, and other people having to help you is a testament to the grace of other people and to the good. Most people are good. We always look for the negative, but most people are good. They have good in them. Now she got your wallet. You better watch her, Gary.
I gotta get used to that.
Oh, you do. You do know I have a daughter.
Hey, her mama, shopaholic.
Gary, I have 4 grandkids. 4 grandkids, 2 girls, and 2 boys. One girl is only 6 months old, and the other girl is 6. So 6.5. So it's amazing. But Gary,
that's the, like I said, no parent should ever have to see their children suffer or die or see what I had to see that day. And that's why I wanted to donate my 10% to cancer. Plus, I've always wanted to give back, Larry. Even when I had those bad spirits inside of me, every time I would see a commercial with a kid struggling, I feel that spike in my chest.
Yeah, you have a heart.
Kids, shouldn't do that.
I work with a lot of young people, with my program, The Reality. I developed the #1 program to help kids in the country. Actually, it's used in court systems. It's used by the government, used by agencies and judges. What I tell young people is, if I talk to a young people and I have parents tell me how bad they are, this, and if I talk to the young person, I find out that young person likes animals or something, I know I could save that kid because he has a heart. He's not evil. He has a heart. It's got to come out. Now he has issues with his parents. He has issues with whatever. He might have some mental, problems a little bit, but there is a way to get to a young person as long as they have that compassion and that heart. And you had it your whole life, and that's what made you who you are today.
Yes,
and I want to just say, as an old guy, and I don't want to sound condescending because I'm no better than anybody, I'm proud of you. I really am. I love to see young people go through all the shit, the DUIs, the fights, and you knew you messed up, but okay. You're not bitter. You're saying, oh, the cop didn't have to stop me. He didn't, and maybe that's all true, but you know what? You're not given an excuse.
That's right.
You're moving on. You find something better. You're in a home now that you're helping people work-wise. Think of that. You went from drinking on Fridays, getting wrapped, and that's okay. I do it. But you're now at a place when you go to work on a day and you see other people, so your struggles aren't that bad, #1.
Right.
And your talents, whatever they are, will help them. And what your talents are? Not fixing something. Your communication skills with compassion to an older person. That to me is your talent.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And
I want to take that talent and I want to do the best I can with it and help out. And the National Alliance for Mental Illness is the other one. Since I grew up with a father that struggled with addiction, I don't want any kids to have to live that life, but I don't want any parents to have to feel like they got to raise a kid and then they know they're dealing with addiction and nobody's there to help them. Listen, if anybody out there, if you are going through addiction and you feel like it's the end and you feel like the world's against you, we're not. We're here. We're rooting for you.
No matter who you are.
No matter who you are. So just know that in your darkest days, there are people out there who are rooting for you. I'm one of them. Larry is one of them. We do care about you. We understand where you're coming from, and you can pull through.
I love it. Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate it. Stay strong. Stay in touch. We'll have you back on in a few months, and we'll have an update.
All right, Larry. Thank you very much. It was an honor.
You got it. Take care. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.